So in today's video, we're probably going to talk about the most obvious thing that's just happened, the Binance SEC lawsuit. Now, I want to give you my honest opinions in this video. I'm going to talk about the technicals, I'm going to talk about the securities, what it means, but most importantly, my opinion. I'm going to start off with my opinion. I'm not that bothered. For some people that may feel a bit odd, but the reality is the SEC, in my opinion, have failed to protect investors for decades. We're not talking about now in crypto, we're talking about previous things in other markets. You know, Bernie Madoff, for example, if you've watched a documentary on Netflix, you'll know, got away with a lot of things for a very long time. The reality is protection of investors could lead them down a dangerous path going after the wrong thing. We've had Celsius, we've had FTX, we've had scams like BitConnect in the past, USI Tech, even the likes of Freeway recently. There's a lot more that I can't really think of off the top of my head that have been able to operate in the US kind of jurisdiction without anything happening. It makes you wonder why all of a sudden Binance. Now there is some allegations, we're going to go over them for obvious reasons. There's been a lot of security allegations. There's a lot of things that need to happen in this space to allow it to grow. But going after just Binance makes you wonder what's coming next. However, I will reiterate, I'm not that bothered about the SEC, and I think the price action is also showing that. There is much bigger things, in my opinion, that the SEC should be going after instead of Binance. That's my personal thoughts. I don't really use Binance that much these days, but the reality is, a lot of people do. But remember, self-custodial. Keep your stuff off any exchanges if you can help it. So the most obvious thing on the screen, you can see we are operating as a blank, unlicensed securities exchange in the USA, bro. Mental wording. But was it really said? Don't know. We'll see. Apparently that was made by the Binance Chief Compliance Officer. But we are charging Binance Holdings Limited, Binance, the US-based affiliate, BAM Trading Services, which together with Binance operates Binance.US, and the founder, CZ, with a variety of security violations. Now, if you are bored this evening or tomorrow or next week or in 3 years' time when this is probably still dragging out, there's a 136-page document for you to read. Now, I've not read it. I don't intend to fully read it. I will pick out some stuff at a later date to kind of see what's happening. There will be more and more summaries and more information that will be dropped. I don't really want to just see one side of the story and just a lawsuit against them, which could be defended pretty well or may not be. We'll see. So there's a lot of things that need to come out. But this is the most interesting point. Last night when this dropped, now this is relatively early before the Asian session, if I can get my words out, there wasn't much of a hoo-ha about it. Like when it first happened, the price niggled a little bit, don't get me wrong. But then it dropped a little bit more. But in my opinion, this is honest opinion, and we'll talk about prices and all kinds of assets in a second. I feel that the market didn't react that badly. I know. You're probably thinking, what's wrong with you? But I've been in the space for a while and I've seen some pretty horrific things. And sometimes you get a double-digit drop. Easily. Double-digit drop. I was on my Twitch live stream as this was coming out, right? Feel free to follow me on Twitch. I do live streams twice a week. Feel free. But I thought it was a bit odd because immediately when it happened, BNB was dropping. And I thought, that's odd. Looked on Twitter. Oh, okay, this is why. It took a while for it to, ferment into what it kind of became. A bit more serious, obviously. But looking at the original data here, now this is from last night, obviously. But to originally start off with, no one really panicked. It did change a little bit, though, throughout the night. And this was not because of Binance itself. It was due to the types of tokens it's association with, because they have been classed as securities. This is what the bulk of the reserves have been taken out of Binance in terms of people's withdrawals, right? Pretty fair enough, but the reality is it's just the way it is. There will always be a little bit of an uptick in the withdrawals, but in my opinion, right now, currently, I don't class it as a bank run. I don't class it as anything that they need to be fully worried about just yet. But the reality is, what really went down was the likes of Sand and Mana. Now, this is some of the complainants tokens as securities. So, you've obviously got BNB, Solana, Cardano, Polygon, Coty, which is totally random, by the way, Algorand, which we already know about this one in previous documents, but we've also got Filecoin in there, Atom, which I find a bit, yeah, and obviously the Sandbox, and all these are like metaverse based stuff. These have been the most heaviest, and you can see the declines here, pretty big declines in terms of price, but the fundamentals are pretty clear. We need to talk about the 61 currencies now seen as, via the SEC, as securities. Now, this is where I think the SEC is going to get into people's pants a little bit and annoy things, right? A little bit of a pain in the arse. Not so much Binance itself. Now, Binance is a centralized operating exchange that does not operate in the US anymore and hasn't done for a while. This is all prehistoric allegations, right? What is forward thinking and processing of all this is the fact that what of the 61 assets that are classed as now a security? What's going to happen there? So we already know there's a lawsuit with XRP. Been there for a freaking long time. But now, in the most recent case against Binance, they've introduced 10 more, as I've just read out before. The reality is, there's already, and you can see here, there's already been some notable ones, XRP, library credits, as well as Algorand recently, right? Because that was charged within the with Bittrex, essentially. There's also been other ones, and obviously you can see here with obviously Luna, etc. Now, the biggest thing that I've seen here, now you can see all the other 48 here, these have been on other documents and stuff. Where's Ethereum, right? Now, I know that sounds a bit cheeky saying, where's Ethereum? I'm a holder of Ethereum, but I'm pretty sure that not too long ago, Mr. Gary Gensler was literally stating to people that Ethereum was a security, whereas the other side of the chain in the US, in terms of like the financial services side, were saying it's a commodity. Well, which one is it, guys? So it feels like they've backpedaled a little bit with Ethereum, but they've actually went full balls deep on more assets. So essentially, as you can imagine, these ones here. So, some new ones to add to the list, obviously BNB, Binance USD, right? Solana, Cardano is a big one. Cardano for me, big one to label as a security. Check out Charles's Twitter, you'll see his reaction to that. Polygon as well, and Atom. The metaverse ones I couldn't give a shit about, they can go away. But when you think about Matic, Atom, Solana, Cardano, and BNB as a whole, that's a big chunk of the space. Big chunk of that top 20 level of the space, realistically, right? Billions, multiple billions. And if you added Ethereum into that, Jesus. So yeah, we've got to be somewhat careful. But my overall opinion, and I said it before, I'm not too bothered about what the SEC do with Binance. It's more the tokens. The tokens is going to be interesting. So we're talking about, and going back to it, protection of investors. Well, going after things in the way that they do makes it not great, because what happens to price? Price falls. Price of these assets are falling, and you can already see in terms of the price, Binance has fallen quite significantly recently. Now let's look at the charts. Now, later on today on my Patreon, I'm going to be doing a Technical Tuesday. I do it every Tuesday, a long technical analysis video, and I will go over a lot more things. But today, I'm going to talk about the structure of BTC mainly, because I have been talking about this level for a while. We've had the kick down the road with the can of this news, which has made it a bit easier. But this looks like a very strong level that could be levels of demand. Now, through the struggle of obviously the SEC and the way that they come after things, usually cryptocurrency as well, usually. So, as I said before, am I really worried about this reaction? I would have expected worse. In my opinion, I would have expected worse. But it hasn't happened. But look at the likes of Matic, for example, has fallen quite significantly. You can imagine. BNB, again, fallen pretty significantly. Now, I'm a believer that we are going to pull back up into this sort of region here eventually over time. Maybe not get that high, to be fair. I'll zoom out. You'll see it in a second. Let me just have it. There you go. So looking at this level here, I circled this yesterday. I put this on my Twitter. I circled this level of demand. We've obviously bounced off it. I was preempting it a little bit, thinking we were going to go, you know, crazy levels, but didn't really happen. We kind of bounced very late, but we could well bounce back up into this region and then continue going down. Depends on the news, depends on the confidence with BNB. It also depends as well on how they react to it, how they fight it. Solana is another one. Nothing's happened. We're still in this range. Like when you look at it, that's a 2-day time frame, 12-hour time frame. Wow, we've done. It doesn't feel like a massive overreact, which is good, right? For me, anyway, it's good. So that is all. I think a lot of people had flapped a little bit at it starting off, but the reality is, and I've said it before in previous videos, I don't think people are bothered by the SEC anymore. I think they're not bothered. There's only one thing that can really probably hurt people, is if they try, this is a big word by the way, try, and freeze people's assets on Binance, which is a possibility, but a very, in my opinion, unlikely possibility, because that is how you stop crypto, just stop the exchanges, right? So we've got to think about that in the future. Anyways, bye.